Hi everyone. All right, so today we're going to get started on 12-1. This is all new to me, so we're going to see how this goes. This is actually on my laptop, so we're going to try this out where you can see me and we can talk through this together. So you should get your notebook out and you should turn your book to page 262. We're going to do 12-1. So if you need to pause this video at any time, then go for it and do that so you can get things written down. Today's objective is I can use patterns of zeros when multiplying by a power of 10. So here we go. And if there's any side noises, I apologize, but we'll make it work and we'll see how it goes. All right, so today, let's get started on the top of page 262. And we'll read the problem together. All right, so it says a cotton fiber is a single cell. It can be 1,000 times as long as its diameter. If the diameter of the cotton fiber is 165 10,000 millimeters, how long would the cotton fiber be? So it says to find the length of the cotton fiber in millimeters, you're going to find 165 10,000 times 1,000. So let's go ahead and write that down. Maybe we'll try it out. So we have 0.0165 times 1,000. All right, so it says to multiply this, move the decimal point to the right 3 places because there are 3 zeros in 1,000. If you remember here, whenever we multiply, we move to the right or the left, it's in a power of 10. So if we move to one side, it would change for the power of 10. So if I look at this here, it's just like when we go through. So how many zeros are there in 1,000? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we're multiplying by 1,000, so we're going to be moving the decimal because it's making the number bigger. When we divide, it makes that number smaller for the answer, but when we multiply, we're making the number bigger. So we're moving the decimal to the right 3 times. Okay, so the new number would therefore be 16.5. So it definitely changed the number. So let's go ahead and write down the steps for this. So give me a second here to replace, and we'll do that again. So step number 1, okay, after we write out that problem, 0.0165 times 1,000. So step 1 is count the number of zeros. Okay, so we are going to go through and I'm going to count the number of zeros. Step number 2 is move the decimal. Let's see if it's moving my screen here. Move the decimal, maybe move the decimal to, moving this down a little bit, to the right, the same number of times, number of times. Okay, and the reason that we do this is because we're making the number bigger because we're multiplying it. Okay, so it says to multiply by the standard, so we'll talk through the standard form next. So let's go ahead and do another example. So we move this decimal over, 1, 2, 3, and the new number therefore would be 16.5. What if we did this? What if we did this same number? So we have 165 10,000, and we times it by, let's times it by 100. If we're doing this same process here, I'm going to count the number of zeros. Okay, 1, 2. And how many spots would I move that over? Let's think about that. How many spots? Since there's 2 zeros, I'm going to multiply or move the decimal over 2 spots. So my new answer would be 1.65 or 1 65 hundredths. All right. Hopefully this makes sense here. So we're gonna, if you need to see that again, definitely go back through and look at this video again, this part of the video. So let's go ahead and keep going. All right, here we go. Still trying to figure this out. Still works like that. All right, next part is let's go ahead and talk about the next part, which says to multiply by our power of 10 written in standard form, move the decimal point to the right as many places as the zeros in the power of 10. Same process that we just did. So if we looking at, let's go ahead and write out the scale here. So if we had 125 thousandths times 10, 125 thousandths times 100, 125 thousandths times 1,000. All right, so now let's go ahead and go through the same steps that we did. So the first one is we did count the number of zeros. So we have 1 0. So how many spots to the right would the decimal go? 1 spot. So my new answer would be 1 and 25 hundredths. All right, so the next one, 2 spots. New number would be 12 and 5 tenths. And then 1, 2, 3 spots, and we move the decimal 3 spots over. I want you to take a second right now and see, okay, what patterns do you notice? I notice that when I move the decimal over that it definitely changes, right? There's a big difference between 1 and 25 hundredths versus 12 and 5 tenths. So see those patterns there. And I think the only last thing that you're going to see today, let's see here. Let's go ahead and look at that third example. It says to multiply by a power of 10 written with an exponent, move the decimal to the right as many places as the exponent. So if we have, I'm going to switch this black to black, 47 hundredths times 10 to the first power, 47 hundredths times 10 to the second power, and then we have 47 hundredths times 10 to the third power. Okay. What's another way to write 10 to the first power? Another way to write it would be 10. Another way to write 10 to the second power would be like 10 times 10, or 100. And then 10 to the third would be another way to write 1,000, right? So this is, the exponents are determining how many times that's multiplying by, okay? So this would be 10 times 1, essentially, 10 times 10, and 10 times 10 times 10. All right, so looking through this here, I'm going to use a different color here. So I see that I have that 1 in the corner, that little exponent, so I know I'm going to move the decimal over once. So it goes to 4.7. Okay, and then if we have 100, we're going to move the decimal over 2 spots. So we have 1, 2, and it would change to 47. And then the last one, there's 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to move the over decimal spot 1, 2, 3. And if it goes over like this, then you know that it would be, we would add a placeholder 0 there. So our new number would be 470. All right, so let's go ahead and move on and do some guided practice problems together. And this is something where I want you to be pausing the video with me and seeing how we understand it and then following along as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and get a new slide here. All right, and let's go ahead and do number 1. Switch this to. Okay, so for number 1, it has 3 and 68 hundredths times 1,000. All right, so first off, if we're looking at our steps there, we have 1, how many zeros there are. Okay, so we count 1, 2, 3. And since we're making the number bigger because it is a decimal, we're going to move this decimal spot. We're going to move it over how many times? 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Because it says how many zeros are there? There's 3 zeros. And then the new product would be 3,680. So I would add that placeholder 0 there. I really recommend drawing this like this, having those like arches that kind of follow along so you can count. All right, 1, 2, 3, so I know. All right, let's go ahead and try the next one. Maybe if it works for me. All right, the next one, let's do number 2. So we have 395 times 10 squared. All right, remember that another way to write 10 squared is 100. All right, Or that little guy right there, that exponent will tell me, okay, I need to move the decimal 2 spots. And remember, how many spots over, how many zeros are there? So what is the exponent? 2. What is the product? Okay, so I'm moving the decimal to the right 2 spots. Therefore, my answer will be 39 5/10. All right. Last but not least, for guided practice, we have 5 7/10 times 20. Right? So it says, how do you factor 20? All right, so when we look at this here, one way that you could factor that out is, okay, we have 10 times 2. So you could do this. So how do you factor? So it's a fancy way of saying, okay, let's break it down. So we could take our answer of, so factor 20, and it'd be 10 times 2. Meaning you could do 5.7 times 10 and then take that answer times 2. So for example, we could do 5.7 times 2, which is 57, and then we could times that by 2. I'll do this one again because it was kind of tricky there. So 57 times 2 would be 114. And let's go ahead and back up and try that one again. So what they did was they used the distributive method. So they broke down the 20 into 10. I'm going to put that up there. So we have 2 times 10. So remember, with the commutative property, does it matter the order? No, it doesn't. So we have 5.7 times 10 times 2. So we're going to do these ones first. So this would be 57 times 2, which is equal to 114. Okay, I feel like I threw a lot at you guys, but we're going to try this out. I'm not sure if we're going to try out this method and see. I don't know if seeing me helps while I'm doing this video. I also want to, each day at the end of these lessons, I want you to post questions or whatnot that I can help and would be best for the group. And then I'll also create a video that goes through some of the questions like, hey, you know what, could you do this number and work through this and talk through it. So I'm hoping this helps. Definitely give me feedback on what I can do to help. You guys are awesome and keep working hard, and we're going to do this together. So it'll be really great. All right. See you soon. Bye.